Yeah, okay, lack of capital and so forth, or weakness and so forth, that's very important, but it's also important to understand that the main weakness that I see is the government. The government's already cracking down on a bunch of these major companies, and they're even trying to crack down on Craigslist to try and find a way to get taxes for their everyday transactions, and it's really stupid. Because there really isn't a good way of doing that. I mean, Craigslist transactions, who the hell knows what happened? Once they show up to your house, it's kind of like, yeah, I definitely see the IRS becoming a huge problem because there will be so many people that will be using this to avoid taxes, okay? Think about it. You have to pay 50% taxes, basically, as federal income, and you're also avoiding sales tax as well. Now, you can say you're not avoiding, that you should be paying for these things, and that you should be, actually filing for these transactions. And I say, yeah, sure, you can still do that. And you can still get away with it because you can easily fudge your books to make it to where the value of the services that you're saying were traded are worth far less. I mean, how the heck is the IRS going to know? You're an attorney. Your average misdemeanor case is $1,500. If I take a case, if I want a pool. The pool's worth $1,500. I gotta do 2 cases in order to get a pool, right? Because half of it's gonna be paid to the IRS, right? I only get $750 after taxes, right? But if I do a straight trade for trade, right? And in the marketplace, I can trade and only do 1 misdemeanor for a pool. Yeah, if I find the guy and the guy who wants to make me a pool, he so happens to meet a misdemeanor case. But it gets even better. Let's say because I'm an attorney, I want to file taxes because just for whatever, I want to be legal. Well, why not say that your misdemeanor case, that one was $250? Why not? I mean, how's the IRS really gonna know that that misdemeanor case was $1,500? How is the IRS really gonna know? I mean, it's up to you to set your own prices, right? So you say it's worth $250, and you're only paying $150 to the IRS. No, $125. Sorry, $125 to the IRS. Sorry, I'm making myself sound stupid now. But the important part is that you're paying $125 to the IRS as opposed to $750. Okay, so this marketplace has serious cash savings that people can't turn down. So I want you to understand, when I say weakness is the government, IRS, that's a serious weakness. But it's only going to be a weakness if we don't have some form of public appeal. But I'm always going to argue, number one, that if the IRS imposes this stuff, well, they need to do this with Craigslist. They need to force Craigslist to start paying taxes. They need to force, a lot of these other companies. And they forced Amazon to have, Amazon take in third-party transaction taxes, and that was just a little while ago. Because Amazon, they have many things where they're not selling. They have third-party vendors that are on there that they're not responsible for. And these people oftentimes were not doing anything about the tax. They weren't requesting taxes. The IRS had an issue. And what do you know? Amazon is now requiring these third-party companies start charging taxes. They require it, We're not going to be like that. We will not back down from the IRS demands. I'm just not going to do that. Moving on. You can see how opportunities, like I talked about recession and so forth, people hate the current financial system. That's so true. If you think about all these third-party transactions that are going on, where they just get your money, any ATM fee, any all these ridiculous laws, money is not secure. Okay, it's just not. So we're gonna move on, but you can see you can take a moment to go over all this. Risk to reward ratio. Okay. You guys got to understand that the reward in this is incredibly high. He who knows the value of every goods and services in the world I think owns the world. You're pretty much saying that you can then create a marketplace that the entire world's economy is built around. So that's really, really important, okay? I really need you to understand it's so important to the point where you can literally become your own country if you wanted to, your own nation or something, based on just owning this kind of marketplace system, because this kind of marketplace system has the potential to crash the entire world's economy. Okay, I want you to get that through your head, that if some psycho has this marketplace and it's effectively running, that it is very likely that over a certain period of years that nobody is paying taxes. Nobody's paying taxes because everyone's using this marketplace for everything, and it's like the cryptocurrency market where there's no way of even tracing transactions and figuring all this stuff out. So this is very very important to understand that the implications are really, really, really huge. The second that taxes aren't enforceable because nobody knows, people are going to get paid in credits in this marketplace. People aren't going to want to take jobs for money because the second they have a job for money, they have to pay 50% of it to the IRS. No, I'm serious. People are going to be wanting jobs that pay credits in this marketplace. So it's just huge, okay? I want you to always have this in the back of your head that the actual reward to this is so massive, and there's a lot of implications as to what will happen. And I've already have a lot of this worked out, but we're gonna save that for another time. Moving on. Okay, so study this. This is very important. But this is how the income is allocated and how equity is gained in the company. And there's a lot of specifics here, but it's important to understand that everything is 100% fair because everybody gets the exact same portion, including myself. Okay, this is a company that is based on a conglomerate partnership, and in such, what we're really doing is we are allocating responsibilities, delegating responsibilities instead of delegating worth. Okay, so there's no partner here that is worth less. There's no partner that should be putting in less time or less effort or anything like that. There are partners that have more responsibilities, and then there are partners that have less responsibilities, but those responsibilities have more of an impact and are a lot more important. So the reality is we need to all agree upon each other's contracts in order for this business to form. So this is very important that we all review each other's responsibilities so that way we can agree what's worth what. And I believe that I've already allocated everything correctly, and I'd like to get some opinion on this, but I have all the jobs and positions already decided and what responsibilities will be for who. But review this information, and I promise you this answers a lot of questions in terms of your compensation. But the idea is that you have to understand that you're going to be paid in credits in the marketplace. There is no money, okay? But that doesn't matter. This is better because paying you in credits in the marketplace is very much tax-free, in a sense. And unless you want to pay the tax, unless you want to talk about the IRS and try and explain what a credit's worth and all that. But generally speaking, this is a much better system, and at the end of the day, there is ways of selling credits for money, exchanging credits for money, and we can talk about that later. But there definitely is a method for doing that, and it's a very smart method. But just trust me when I say that you're going to want these credits, because these credits can basically be traded into anything. So the marketplace is going to have a lot, and we're going to be getting 1% of every credit possible from everybody. So that means that all services that are on the marketplace will be available for the members to get. So this is very important, okay? I mean, I guarantee you there are services that you could use. You know, if you want a guitar, I bet you there's going to be a guitar manufacturer there that can make you a guitar or something. I bet you, okay? But the important part is that you understand what the compensation is. Moving on. All right. So, barter marketplace comparisons, okay? The new marketplace versus the old. You like how the old has a listed words to explain, and the new has these emojis. Okay, the new marketplace, again, is not a money substitute. It does not have some form of a currency or some form of a monetary system behind it. Okay, the new marketplace is based around goods and services that have transactional receipts that are stored as data. That each transaction is actually a part of the marketplace evaluation system. Okay, it's never been done before. Okay, we don't have any form of a convergence or any form of a transactional currency exchange method. Okay, everything is based on the value of everything else. And it's very important to understand that. When it comes down to determining the worth of a credit, you will find out that the worth of a credit is dependent upon the worth of everything else. And the only way you can determine the worth of one credit is if you've solved the worth of all other credits. It's actually a proven fact. Okay? So that's the reason why you need to have a formulaic system, or else it just doesn't work. So when you're talking about how much something is worth, you want to always reflect it back to the marketplace, because the marketplace has a lot of different equations that you can search for to make sure that you can get an understanding of value. And one of the prime ones is the global market value, which we'll get into later, which gives you a really good indicator of what something is worth. Okay? Now, moving on. Let's see here. The marketplace is the fastest way to calculate information and make that information easily digestible for for any user. So your average person is really going to have an idea as to how to use these equations. It won't take them long. It probably will just need to do a couple transactions and then get a feel for it and really have an understanding. But it's something that you need to remember, that when you only have money, yeah, it's a little bit easier to make a decision, right? But at the end of the day, money doesn't really tell you if you're getting a good value, if you're getting a good, if you're getting, if you're making a good purchase. It really doesn't, So, hold on, sorry about that. So, I want you to understand that this information is provided, and a lot of information is provided. We have like eight different equations that are provided to the user in order to give them real decision power making fast. That this is worth this, and you have a really good understanding of what something is really worth. Because just because you know what the price of something is does not mean it's worth that price. There are plenty of things that are not worth what its listed price is, and there are plenty of things that are far worth more than what its listed price is. Yeah, there are really good deals out there sometimes. So anyways, it's free. The marketplace is free to list and put all your stuff, and there is no time limit or any form of acceptance or dates or anything. There's no pressure. This is a zero opportunity cost association, meaning that there is nothing that stops the user from wanting to use the marketplace. All these other marketplaces, man, these barter marketplaces, they're notoriously slow. They oftentimes have tons of conversion rates for currencies and so forth, and require this monetary system, but they're almost always, they're not free, and they're almost always, you're putting up an opportunity cost. You are putting up an opportunity cost. What does that mean? What's an opportunity cost? It means that you are having to sacrifice something to get that something. Like, for example, let's say you want to go to a baseball game, okay? And you have 2 baseball games that are close by. You could go see the Giants, or you can go see the A's, okay? Okay, the Oakland A's or the San Francisco Giants. All right, now the reality is if you choose one, you can't go to the other, especially if they're running at the same time. And that's what an opportunity cost is. It's usually these marketplaces, they are basically forcing you to go there, or having to put up some of them have non-competes, and some of them have these where you can't even register your goods into anything else. Like, they own the rights to your goods now and stuff. Some of these marketplaces are really corrupt, but a lot of them are requiring you to sacrifice something. There's no issue with with the marketplace of listing your stuff and signing up for free. There's no opportunity cost, and it's very much like how Chime, Zulu, Cash App, all these cash transaction easy transactional systems have come up, because there's really no sacrifice to having like one over another. There's no real downside. So that's important to understand. Now, in terms of the old marketplace, when I talked about some universal marketplace credit system, yeah, you see what I'm saying. You can see how an old marketplace is built. No transactional aids. There's nothing there to speed things up. There's and so on. Okay, here we go. Moving on. What's the problem with money? Okay, this is really important. Like I mentioned earlier, it's created for convenience, okay? But it lacks efficiency, okay? Money needs to be seen as if you need energy from matter, you can burn it, but that's not an efficient way of getting energy from matter. I mean, burning matter, you get like maybe 30% of the energy, and 70% is getting burnt up in the fire. Really, if you want to get energy out of matter, you get some antimatter, right? Now, obviously, that's scientific and doesn't theoretically it should exist, but doesn't. It's not known, so it doesn't seem to exist. The important thing is that antimatter colliding with matter gives you pure energy, pure 100% energy, and that's what trade is. Okay, that's bartering. Bartering is pure 100%. I'm getting everything. The second you have money in the mix, you're getting less value. It actually eats up on value. It does, and that's actually part of the main issue, is the fact that when you have money, the person who's the buyer definitely has the advantage. So let's talk about money not being a secure investment, because that's the next one. Okay, not only is there inflation with money, right? Like if you think of like services, there's no real inflation. I mean, there really isn't. If I can buy right now a haircut, but I buy it in the future, I say, hey, I want to get a haircut, but I don't want to use the haircut right now. Let me buy a haircut right now, and I'll turn it in later. And that's basically what this is. It's a credit system, right? So if you think about it, haircuts usually go up in value because inflation. So if I bought a haircut now and I could cash it in later, I'd be getting a savings. Maybe that was a $15 haircut and it became an $18 haircut a couple years later. And then I cashed that shit in and I now, made some money. See, that's great because services don't have inflation. So if you were to trade another service for another service, those things should still be equal. If you traded, and it wasn't a haircut, but you traded, plumbing job service, well, that plumbing job service should still be the same as you see what I'm saying? So inflation's really important, but that's not the only problem. I mean, it's just not secure. Did you know that if you have enough suspicious money that the police can just take it? Did you know that? There's a guy who had $14,000 in his car, and the police took it and just literally said, hey, no, we're going to take your money. You're going to have to file something to get it back. That's just robbery, because they thought it was in connection to drugs or whatever, a drug deal or something, but they couldn't prove it, and this guy was just a poker player. He's just a fucking poker player. So it's like, dude, this is really fucked up here, okay? Money is not secure, okay? People are constantly trying to get at it, okay? And there's so many ways in which you can lose your money, but losing your property is much harder. Now, I'm not saying property is super secure. Losing your services? What? That's about as secure as it gets. I mean, your car can get repossessed, but shit, man, if I own a bunch of credits on, let's say I mean, there's so many different ways, right? It could be guitar lessons. Shit, I own a bunch of credits for guitar lessons. And you think the cops are going to take those away from me? No. Hell no, they got no right. In fact, what could they do? Try and take it away? And so the website still says I got those credits. You see? So there's some serious security in this, that money is just not secure, okay? I'm telling you, it's sad, but people will do things just because money is universal, and therefore it has no security, which is terrible. Yeah, money can be tracked and taxed. It's very important to understand that. You can't really track service trades. This is like really, really, really next level here. Okay? This is why I believe this is going to take off so strong. Okay? It's an incredibly easy way to hide your wealth. You could be rich with service credits. And you're thinking like, well, what kind of services could I get? I mean, I'm telling you, you could get almost any kind of service, okay? The reality is, well, I bet you didn't know this, but there are a hell of a lot of attorneys that are broke. There's a ton of attorneys who are broke, okay? The idea that every attorney makes money is a joke, okay? And you bet you will see a ton of attorneys in the marketplace. I'm putting money on that. You will see a ton of attorneys, because at the end of the day, an attorney service is very expensive. And it's kind of like a winner-take-all in the private sector. You are seeing these people who are public defenders who are incredibly old now, who want the job just because they need some work. And, at the end of the day, and if an attorney can, trade a misdemeanor for a pool or something, they're going to do it, okay? So this is something you should be able to understand, okay? Money is speculative. Doesn't really have any real value. Whereas these do. These actually have real values. Okay, service credits have real values here, especially, we'll get into the rules and why vendors are going to, really enforce their credits, because they're not going to want to be kicked out of this marketplace that has all these, IPs and intellectual property and corporate secrets too. That's right, secrets. So, and money's constantly changing in value and so forth and so on, blah, blah, blah. Okay, moving on. Okay, so what's the difficulty for the absolute value? I bring up absolute value. What's the problem with this? People oftentimes don't realize this, but this math equation is the only reason why this business got formed. It's because I solved this, and this formulaic system took a long time. Okay? In fact, this is this question right here is being sold for $500,000. And I'm purposely not going to give up the answer to the absolute value problem, because of the fact that I feel like I could make a hell of a lot more than $500,000. In fact, this business that we're talking about right here, once it owns the world's economy, which it will own the average, more than 50% of goods and service transactions will be done on this marketplace. I bet you that. And at that figure, you're looking at a company that's worth $87 trillion a year, meaning we could be the first trillionaires. Forget billionaires, trillionaires. It just makes Amazon and Apple and all of them look like little kids, right? So anyways, when we are looking at some of these examples, we often think the mean is always the best at determining the average. Well, look at this example that I have given you here. You see that you have item 1 and how many trades it's been, and item 2 and how many trades it's been. That information would be irrelevant to somebody. Somebody wouldn't even use that information. Okay, they would only focus on the trades that happen between the two items. And there are 24 trades that happen between two items, and you can see them right here. Now, when you see 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, what the hell does that mean? What that means is I actually shorthanded that, and that's actually 8 to 1. Okay, now in transactions, you're going to see different things. It's not always going to be 1. Okay, the reason why is because in a trade, you might see somebody sold one of these credits, one of these credits, like 2 different types of credits for one type of credit transaction or something. And then you have to kind of divide it down. But everything will be converted to 1. Everything, all fractions are converted to 1. So there's always going to be a smaller item to a bigger item, almost always, okay? And these trade transactions reflect that. So we're basically saying that item number 1, you need 8 items for item number 1 to equal item number 2. So 8 credits of item number 1 to equal 1 credit of item number 2. So let's say it's a graphic designer, and a graphic designer needs to put in 8 credits. 8 credits is 2 hours, right? 15 minutes, 4 credits an hour. So 2 hours for 15 minutes of an attorney. There you go. Because an attorney would be the other one, item 2, right? Think of it something like that. Okay? Now, what do you think the average should be? What do you think the going rate price is? If you were to see this data, and you were to see, dang, the last few trades it went 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, you would think that either A, the attorney's credit is going up, right? Because the attorney is getting more of digital artist, a graphic artist, he's getting more of that person's time. So you would think either A, the value of the attorney is going up, or B, the value of the